Advice for someone who is learning how to make pattern pieces for the first time. Well, let me share my journey into pattern drafting and the lessons that I've learned. My name is Vitana. I'm a sewing teacher and costume maker. Bookmark this so you can come back to it later. So the first things I made for myself when I was a teenager, like a jacket and sort of items like that, I just literally cut pieces of rectangles and stitched them together, and they weren't that great, to be quite honest. Then I got into purchasing ready-made or commercial patterns, and that taught me a lot about the shapes of what a sleeve should look like and what a bodice should look like, the front and the back, and how they all assemble. So then as I got better at making garments and constructing them, my mum asked me to make her competition ballroom dance dress. And as she was spending quite a lot of money on second-hand dresses, so I thought, yeah, why not? What could be difficult about that? So the way I did that was that I used a dress that she already had and made the pattern pieces drafted from the actual garment. So there's several sections in the bodice, and I just plotted them out on a piece of paper, and that worked. It fitted very well. I made quite a few dresses with that method, but then I just felt there was a missing piece. I needed to know how to construct this with measurements, and I tried looking at books. This is back before the days of the internet, so there were pattern drafting books. I tried to follow it. I found it really, really difficult. So then I joined a crash course in pattern drafting. It was in London. I can't remember where exactly. This is going back quite a few years. And that was like the light bulb moment of how you take measurements and then translate it, make calculations and draft a pattern on a piece of paper. And then once you've drafted your block, your sort of basic bodice, then you can manipulate that and turn it into all sorts of pattern shapes and drapes and whatever, just using that same block. It's going to fit. And that was a method that I used for many, many, many years. And then many, many, many years later, I came across a pattern drafting system called the Lutelo pattern drafting system. And you just use two measurements, a bust and hip measurement, and from that it uses the golden rule method, and you can draft all sorts of different patterns. And that was like mind-blowing, because it was just so quick how the woman who was doing the demonstration, how quickly she drafted a vest pattern, and just thought, well, I can't even draft a block that quickly. So I bought it and I've been selling it. Nowadays there's lots of online classes that you can join to learn how to do pattern drafting, and you can do them in person as well. So I'd really recommend going one of those so that you actually learn the sort of fundamentals rather than just guesswork. I also recommend that you buy and make from commercial patterns, because you can learn an awful lot of techniques just from the commercial patterns and their instructions of how things assemble, what order you should do it in. Hope that helps. Like and follow for more sewing tips like this.